Hold up, I ain't trying to stump, man, but the Yeezys jumped over the jump, man. I be in and out of arenas like I'm Scottie Pippen. Left my elbow in the pot, a la Vince Carter.
Bitch, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym?
James Harden with the range on me, nigga, way back.
Coach, they won't knock me off my pivot, forget it.
Been flowing stupid since Vince Carter was on some through the legs arm and a hoop shit.
And you can live through anything if magic made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, now you do.
Yes, sir. We are back. Round of applause for yourselves. This is your guy, Marcellus Ease. And of course, we got some interesting stuff on the docket for today. We'll first hear from one of the great Portland Trail Blazers what-ifs, as Greg Oden reflects on his career ups and downs and how it felt to be one of the first players to be misdiagnosed as a bust. While he was on his rise in the NBA, social media was also on the come up. So we'll go into a deeper dive of how those two dynamics ended up giving him that bust label on his jacket. And speaking of players that have been misdiagnosed, we'll hear from Carmelo Anthony and Rudy Gay as they reflected on how analytics has changed the ending of their career and the perception of them as players. Carmelo Anthony gives great perspective of how deep the rabbit hole got with Daryl Morey's analytics. So as modern medicine continues to make star players last in the league a lot longer, guys like Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, the question was going to eventually get brought up of how they might be staying too long and how they may be blocking opportunities for younger players. We'll hear from a prominent NBA media member as well as Bruce Bowen, former San Antonio Spur, as they both give great insight to the positives and negatives of this dynamic. And last but not least, we'll hear from Jeff Teague as he's shaking up the algorithms, and he brought up a topic that a lot of the NBA media overall does not want to touch, and that is LeBron and the PED accusations. So we'll go down the rabbit hole of how he's actually attached to this report and also why the media does not want to cover him. Some of his financial backers does come from a major media conglomerate like Warner Brothers. There's definitely a lot of conflict of interest playing out. So former first overall pick Greg Oden has sat down with his former teammate Darius Miles and also their friend Q Rich. And make no mistake about it, Greg Oden has one of the most misdiagnosed labels on him as being a bust because he was selected above Kevin Durant. But unfortunate for him, his knees were not able to hold up. He had about 6 surgeries in 5 seasons. And in the 62 games he played alongside Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge, they finished with a record of 52-12. At the end of the day, when he was healthy, he definitely had major impact. And before we get to the segment, another thing that's never discussed when talking about Greg Oden is the fact that the NBA had changed the eligibility for high school players to come in the league once he was about to graduate. Just at 19 years old, he was already 7 feet, 260 pounds, and he was a very skilled big man with great passing ability. Again, he spoke about the highs and lows of his career and also something that doesn't get talked about too much, what players go through during the dark times when they realize their athletic death. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
How was it when you, what happened when you first hurt your knee to have to get surgery?
So I grew up with a leg length differential. So I used to walk with a limp like in high school. And then that's before I could afford orthotics, the school, kind of gave me some in high school. And then I got some in college, but it was always never the exact same. When I got to the league, my orthotics fixed that. So one orthotic was like this and one was like this. So my body was so used to that, that was just me. I had that lean. I swear to God, the first day I got those orthotics, boom, all right, felt weird. Went bowling that night. Came back the next day, literally could not pull my pants leg over my knee. My knee just blew up. Dang. The next day after getting those orthotics, I do remember that. And at that time, I didn't question it, I didn't ask, I couldn't really explain it, nor did I think about that at that end. But when I look back at it, that was the one thing that actually changed and that really affected my body. And then after that, it was kind of just a ripple effect.
Tell us about the mental strain you have to go through every day. You see the D Roses, you see the guys who go through these knee surgeries and then The casual fan don't know what you go through mentally to even get back to get the opportunity to try to do it again.
So for me, I have two stages of it because the first one, when I first got in the league, that one was like, I don't know what this surgery is, but I'm out for the whole year. So I guess Portland was trying to take a little bit of pressure of me from rushing back, having all those expectations. So, but I'm hearing that whole entire first year. So I really don't know what to think. All I know is just do whatever they say to get back, just to get back. Like my mind that first year was like, I'm getting back. I gotta prove these motherfuckers wrong. So it was like I'm in here every day. Tell me what to do, Bobby Medina, I'm doing it, you know? I don't give a fuck whatever they tell me to do, I'm doing it, like literally to the T.
Now right here, I have to also throw in the nuance of the Portland Trailblazers medical staff not necessarily being known for being up to par versus other teams throughout the league. Not only in the 5 seasons that Greg Oden was there, they fumbled his recovery, they also ended up fumbling Brandon Roy's recovery, which caused him to retire prematurely, even though he was one of the top guards in the NBA.
And then you was isolated from the team because they going off on road trips. I mean, I want to go hang out with my boy. They end up pushing him away from me. Now he got to come in the afternoons. I got to come in the mornings. We can't work out together.
They didn't work out together. They didn't want me around them.
So now we super isolated. And then now I've never been on the West Coast like that before, especially Pacific West Coast, and I'm 19 years old, so I can't go out and really do nothing.
Yeah.
I barely can go out and walk anywhere because I gotta have my crutches, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And also at this time, the noise around Kevin Durant is growing louder and louder. I believe he won like 3 to 4 scoring titles in a row. So not only the medical staff wasn't up to par compared to the rest of the teams in the league, the guy that was picked right behind Greg Oden was putting up crazy scoring numbers. Oden definitely felt the pressure to come back early, and him making this mistake a number of times during his recovery ended up costing him.
I barely can go out and walk anywhere because I gotta have my crutches, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really a struggle. So, you know, I kind of did some things, but just to make sure I had fun. And at one point, with all the injuries stacking up, it became more fun than it became basketball at this point.
Yeah.
Like that second go around after my technical third year, when I broke my kneecap and I had the back-to-back microfractures, that was a whole different mindset. Like that was a struggle because it was just like, I wasn't even a basketball player anymore.
Yeah.
I don't remember even touching the basketball through that time.
Yeah.
Fucking rehab.
Just literally rehab and weight room. Like I thought I was a professional bodybuilder at that point.
Straight
like
up.
literally, that's how I lived in that weight room. Jay Jensen always with me. Like literally, I was a professional rehab person. Like I didn't even think I was part of the team no more. So like when I was released from the Trailblazers, at one point it was just like, all right, I'm never with y'all anyways. Like I really didn't feel like I was a part of the team. Like that year I was released, I think that was the year B. Roy went for his 50 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I was in Indianapolis, like.
That definitely was tough for Greg Oden because Brandon Roy, he was one hell of a guard. And had Greg Oden been healthy enough to pair up with LaMarcus Aldridge and B. Roy, that would have been nasty for the Blazers. That could be one of the biggest NBA's what ifs.
Like I wasn't even on the West Coast. It was like I wasn't part of the team.
Yeah.
So that was a different feeling. And that struggle was, I'm a rehab because I know I want to prove to somebody that I can get back on this court and that I was the #1 draft pick.
Yeah.
So I did it. But again, like I wasn't working on my game. I was just working on being strong enough to be able to run up and down the court for Miami got me, 16 minutes? 4 at the end of the first, 4 at the beginning of the second, 4 at the end of the third, 4 at the beginning of the fourth. So 16 minutes, like that's all I fought for, was just 16 minutes. And then I was on a minute restriction. So if I played in the game, I couldn't practice.
Yeah.
If I practiced, I probably wasn't playing in the game because 2 practices in a row, I'm all fucked up.
Yeah.
So it was like you you never can really gel with your teammates. So, even playing with some of the best players in the world, Brown's gonna make it work. D-Wade and CB's gonna make it work. The Shane Battier's, the UD's, everybody's gonna make it work. But for me, it was like I never got a feel to like actually become me, because at that point I couldn't even push myself to be better.
Yeah.
Because I literally was on a minute restriction. Like it was no pushing myself. It was like, this is all your body got. And then I had no athleticism anymore, which, as I said, that was my game. I didn't add to it while I was sitting out those 3 years. I was just worried about getting my knees strong enough to not hurt when I sat down, So that was a big struggle. And then after that, it was some dark places. Just trying to figure out who I am and what I thought everybody.
Again, he is definitely mislabeled as a bust because he never necessarily had the opportunity consistently to be on the floor. And when he did, it was short-lived. He played a total of 82 games in 5 years. And I believe after his sophomore season, he lost a lot of weight. He got a lot stronger. He was doing his thing, but unfortunately, the knees were just never holding up. And the more surgeries went along, that athleticism just withered away.
Just trying to figure out who I am and what I thought everybody thought I should be.
Yeah.
Or what I thought people were saying about me.
Talk about that, how much, because it's one thing, we all know as hoopers, you already fighting your own battle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just because you want to hoop, fuck anything else, but then you got the loudest noise ever because, like you say, you the number one pick, and then KD is doing what KD is doing, which ain't making it no more easier for you.
Exactly.
So, talk about how that made it that much tougher for you.
I mean, I literally could not do nothing about it.
Right.
As he's stacking up these points, and shout out to KD, man.
Easy money.
Easy money, man. You sniper, brother. You are the man. You put in that work. And for me, I physically could not. But I'm still hearing that. I'm still watching TV. I turn to inside the NBA, and they just talking about KD, and Kenny goes, he should have been drafted number one. The little slick jokes, and for me at that time, that shit hurt, But what can I do? It's not like I'm gonna go online and have a tantrum about it.
Right.
All I can do was quietly rehab again, try to get back, try to get back.
They
just
kick
prove
my
all
ass
that.
on it all the time because I always say, I was like, nah, Greg supposed to been number one. They was like, you see KD and how good KD, and it's like, I ain't trying to diss KD. I respect KD all the way to the fullest. But you don't know how good Greg fucking was, bro.
That,
left hand, right hand, dunking that bit, defense. Man, it's just crazy, man.
Yeah, once again, they don't talk about that too much. Oden was a skilled big man. He can pass, he was athletic, he had nice touch. Just had the NBA not changed those high school rules, we might have seen him come in the league at 18 and get a better feel of what he could possibly be before he had gotten the knee issues. That definitely would have been a game changer as far as the narrative around him. But another caveat we gotta look at is social media. Around that time, the transition started to happen where the landscape became to what it is today, where there is no off time for the players. Just within that transition must have been another mental hurdle for him to get over, as the noise kept growing louder and louder with the advent of Twitter on the rise. And make no mistake about it, that transition with Twitter is definitely a thing, because Kevin Durant, even though he was killing and winning scoring titles and even MVPs, the transition with dealing with Twitter was such a huge ordeal, even he had to create fake accounts just to clap back at his haters. So you can only imagine with what Greg Oden is dealing with, not even being able to get a chance to being on the court.
Man, it's just crazy, man, that as we play, because I expected my career to be so much better than what it was. If I look back on my career, I played 10 years, I was really probably hurt 8 of them 10 years I played. You know what I'm saying? Where I wasn't fully all the way healthy to have a healthy season. Then fighting, trying to get back. They don't know, like you said, for them 16 minutes, it's like you got 2 kids on your legs, because it's a full-time job just to get yourself up.
Yes, sir.
To play
Yes, sir.
in the game. You know what I'm saying? They don't know the behind-the-scenes shit Like, you gotta get up in the morning, you gotta go to the training table. After you leave the training table, do your ice and all that stuff.
Anyway, it's like nobody wants to do it.
Yeah,
it's hard.
it's like a
not
full-time
easy,
job.
and it's hard.
You know, you gotta get out there and get your shots up. After you get your shots up, you gotta put the heat packs on to make sure you don't freeze up. Cause you know, when you get stiff with these knees, it's like you a statue. You can't even move no more.
I know. That's how I walk right now.
Straight
hey,
up.
You see me out there in the skating rink. Boy, these knees do not bend. It's just a straight leg
You
skate.
already know.
Y'all some damn fools. 6'10" motherfuckers out here on skates, dog.
That shows you how athletic Greg Oden used to be. Came into the league 19, 7 foot, 260, and he had a love for skating.
Out here 7'2".
But that was crazy. Like I said, we was working out. I'm glad you said that, because this how I tell you how poorly you used to do your boy, man. We used to work out in the morning before practice start, me and him. They told me they first told me he was going on the road. They first told me, he was like, nah, you can't go on no road trips. I'm like, damn, I can't go on no road trip? He's like, yeah, you can't go on no road trip. So me and him working out. Then they told me I can't work out with him no more before practice. I gotta work out after practice. How crazy is that? Man, they used to do your boy D Miles wrong, bro. They used to be on my ass. I'd be like, bro, I get along with everybody. I don't got no problem with nobody.
He was literally helping me out. Like the thing everybody talk about vets, like literally me and him used to talk, like we working out, but he talking, he giving me game.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting there.
Like they used to isolate the shit out of me out. Like I didn't even feel like I was on the team, so I know how he felt when he got to now, because it got to the point, like he said, he was by himself. It's like I'm walking in an empty gym. You ain't seeing no teammates or nothing. The trainer and the weight room guy got to work overtime because they got to stay and work out with you.
That's cold.
Once again, in Portland at the time, the personnel was really in question. It wasn't like how NBA teams today really invest in their medical staffs. And again, with the rise of social media, it makes you wonder if they didn't want information getting out. Because around that time, from 07 to about 09, NBA teams lost the ability to broadcast what information they wanted to get out. Now that everybody has smartphones and could tweet away what's going on and basically broadcast themselves like how they do today. Around this time was the beginning of all this. So I can only imagine how certain teams were beginning to adjust to keep information only in-house.
Todd, Jay Jensen. Shoot, me and Todd basically lived in Vail, Colorado for like 3 months. I ended up living in LA for a summer, rehabbing out there. They sent me back to Indianapolis for a year.
Yeah.
And you think about it, I was only signed with them for 5 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And honestly, it's for the things that I really want to do. I wanted to go back and have some credibility. You know, I'm trying to get in the space where, you know, I can go out to teams. You know, I struggled with talking to the team therapist because I just kind of didn't feel like I trusted them that much because I felt like it was a direct line to the team and how we were treated in that organization at that time. It felt weird. So right now, I know things are differently, but I know sometimes some of these players don't want to talk to a professional. Like, I've been through everything you could possibly think of.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not gonna say I'm a professional therapist, but I am damn near a life coach, and I got the experience to show you.
Yeah.
So,
Damn, that's kind of crazy. He doesn't trust a team therapist because they were checking in on his mental as far as him going through his recovery. You could only imagine if he even trusted the medical staff after a certain point. Again, another narrative that never gets talked about with the Portland Trail Blazers is how internally their organizational structure had a few questionable points and their medical staff was not up to par compared to other NBA teams. It's not like today where you see franchises put an emphasis on their medical staffs because they understand they have to invest into their star players' health in order to continue to have that money rolling in.
I am trying to move right now is trying to work with individual athletes and teams in that space. So getting my degrees was something that was going to help me kind of validify that. Well, you know, when I tried to step away when I was going through my dark times, that's the most I watched basketball.
For real?
Yeah. Like
See, when I was in my dark times, I didn't even look at basketball no more.
What? NBA TV was on all day and night.
Yeah, I
Then
couldn't look at it
TNT,
no more.
ESPN. That's literally, if I'm not watching Food Network, it's ESPN or it's NBA TV.
okay.
That's it. Because that's what I watch.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it started really when I got my dark place when I was released by Portland, because it was like, while I was playing, I didn't want to hear it. And then when I was not playing, I still had that. That's all I cared about. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what made me fall into coaching as well. I've been doing it since I was in 4th grade.
Yeah.
How was it for you when you got to go back to Portland recently and take in a game and you got received well from the crowd and things like that? How was that experience for you?
Amazing. Honestly, through a lot of stuff we talked about, I didn't know what to expect, but I did know that Beth Hancock was there. And she was always somebody that took care and loved all of us. And I knew that going back there and having a chance to take my wife and daughter, it would be special, just to show, where Daddy, just finally got his little bit of notoriety at. And we had a good time, man. I honestly appreciated the Trailblazers organization for just the hospitality, Joe Cronin, the coaching staff, is just kind of bringing me in and I guess not making it weird.
Right, that's dope.
And I really hope more things like that can happen for the Trailblazers, because I think there is a group in the span of us guys that are still here. As you know, the guys that were coming around when we were there, a lot older now, but they're still around. Just because, you want to bring that. I think a lot of these organizations do that, and I want to see that happen in Portland.
And that is a good thing. A lot of these franchises need to reconnect with some of the players of the past. And with that late 2000s Blazers team, the possibilities were definitely endless, as they were lined up to compete in the West against guys like Yao Ming. You can't forget about that dynamic. That's one of the reasons why Greg Oden going first overall made sense. Around that time in the late 2000s, the big man still had an overall impact as far as how deep you can go into the playoffs, and you still needed big bodies to guard those guys. But at the end of the day, Greg Oden was labeled a bust, as social media was on the rise, and Kevin Durant's superstardom was also on the rise. But it's definitely a mislabeling, because unlike other real busts, guys like DeAndre Ayton, who got drafted before Luka, Ayton's been on the court for plenty of games. And he's been in great advantageous situations, having Devin Booker as well as a great guard like CP3, but yet they still struggle to wheel him in. Meanwhile, Greg Oden didn't necessarily get the opportunity to try to outshine the person who got picked behind him, which is Kevin Durant. He was forced into early retirement only at the age of 26 and only played 82 games in 5 seasons for the Blazers. And when he did play with LaMarcus Aldridge alongside Brandon Roy, they dominated with a 52-win record and only 12 losses. So it is what it is. For Greg Oden, it looks like he found the light on the other side of his athleticism, and he's entered a new phase of his life because he has a lot more years to live, and it looks like he's found coaching, continuing his love for skating, and also he has his daughter and his family to look forward to. So Carmelo Anthony, Rudy Gay had sat down and spoke about how analytics had affected their careers. And unfortunate for them, they played in an in-between era where in the early 2000s, a lot of players were inspired by the Michael Jordan aura, and they were taking a high level of volume shots at the wing, while at the same time the league was in a phase of its most physical era. And unlike Michael Jordan, a lot of the wing players of the 2000s were not as proficient as far as their scoring, and it did not translate into a good television product for viewers for a full 82-game season. After the San Antonio Spurs had won the championship in 2005, just Manu Ginobili and his Eurostep kind of taking the league by storm. We've seen them introduce more freedom of movement. The Steve Nash Phoenix Suns introduced more of a play style that we see today with the run and gun. And eventually in the early and mid 2010s, the league had already began transitioning to the more modern style that we see today with the floor spacing. Multiple guys on the team are shooting proficient from 3, and also shooting 40% while taking long mid-range was no longer considered proficient. And that's where guys like Rudy Gay and Carmelo Anthony come into fold. But that's how they normally used to get their games going, by just taking a good amount of volume shots. but they gave their thoughts on analytics and who it's for, and Carmelo also revealed a lot more details on how bad the Daryl Morey Houston Rockets were so analytically driven, and gave very keen details on how they were counting the number of shots from certain areas on the court. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
I'm a mid-range guy myself, so
Yeah.
you know, I've gone to situations where that wasn't, you know, allowed, but
Don't be vague.
Yeah, like, come on, bring us in.
Bring us in.
Talking about when
How does
and
this
where?
go? And how does this go? Because y'all are obviously the dude all your careers,
Right.
and suddenly somebody's like, "Hey, don't take that shot no more."
I mean,
How they told you?
that's not a good shot.
That's crazy.
If I make it, it's a good shot. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I mean, yeah. I mean, okay. When we be real, Spurs didn't like it. Spurs didn't like it, and Utah didn't like it either. But you know, we was in the middle of that, like, you know, that whole sway of like, what's a good shot, what's a bad shot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now, let me say this about Rudy Gay. He is almost 2 levels below Carmelo Anthony. And he's one of these rookies that come in the NBA and then they put up 18 to 20 points per game, but that right there is their peak. So whether he was on Memphis, Sacramento, San Antonio, it was all the same. A bunch of volume shots with average percentages, and also his 3-point shot wasn't necessarily that great. He always hovered around 32% from 3. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, Carmelo Anthony has shown that he can carry the scoring load ever since he came into the NBA, and it impacted his team on the winning side. So he does have history of it. Melo's issue is that when the league had transitioned to the more spacing and 3-point shooting, in the mid-2010s, he did not adjust his game. Even his peers, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, started taking more 3-point shots and adjusted to the styles and transition that the league was going through. Meanwhile, Carmelo Anthony was still playing like a guy from the early 2000s, stalling the offense, holding on to the ball too long, a bunch of jab steps, and when his athleticism, particularly his legs, started to go, he became even less proficient, and it started to show.
So
The Curryfication of basketball.
yeah, it wasn't easy for me to be like,
that
yo,
word.
I'm a
word, yeah.
Yo,
Yeah, that was
trademark that
dope.
stuff.
It wasn't even easy for me to be like, yo, something I've been doing my whole life. I gotta stop doing it. No, this is what got me here, and that's where, you know, the tension, you know, with certain situations got for me. But I mean, I understand how you feel, but
Especially he's a point guard, right?
being a point guard,
That's the only shot you got.
the only shot you got. Then they took out the floater too. Remember?
Yeah.
It was like, so, you know, it limits some people and it opens some people up. I think it made the game more, you know, less competitive.
Ooh,
Less competitive.
Hey, bro, culturally,
culturally.
to your point, that's San Antonio culture, right? Forever.
So is that?
So they've been that. This is what we
Yeah,
talking about.
So Melo right there just said San Antonio culture, but we also got to look at Kawhi Leonard. He was taking a lot of mid-range shots, but he's way more proficient at his shot-making ability than Rudy Gay. So we have to ask ourselves, is it really San Antonio wanting to take away the mid-range, or was it just Rudy Gay not being as proficient?
Culture,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They've been
Yeah.
threes, free throw, or to the basket.
So this is my self-reflection.
No, absolutely. But you know what I'm saying is,
No,
my
I
point
understand.
is, you got caught in that culture. You
Yeah,
got
I
caught
agree.
in that.
I agree with you. So
Did you
yeah.
know that going in? Like when you arrived in San Antonio, was that something that crossed
See,
your
I
mind?
just tore my Achilles, so it was bigger than that for me. It was more
Okay.
like a, you know, like a health thing and trying to work myself back into being healthy. But you know, just being a part of it, and there's parts of my game that have grown because of that, or did grow because of that. But you know, it did take a lot of what I knew and what got me there out of my game. So it was. I could see how Teague felt a certain way about that. You know what I mean?
So as a player, when they told you that, right?
Yes, and this was year what in the league?
Yes.
Keep going.
It's like year 11, 12.
Okay, so you've been doing
Yeah,
it.
11, 12. You've been doing it.
Yeah.
So again, just to add more nuance to this is 2017 that they're talking about. This is around the time the league was transitioning and becoming more of the modern style that we see today, coming off the Warriors winning the title in 2015, and then the way they dominated in that 2016 70-plus win season. And that's when the rest of the league was kind of awakened to more of the spacing and 3-point shooting that we see today. So it makes sense that Rudy Gay was already starting to struggle, and low-key Melo at that point, his legs already started to give way. And he also started to struggle while making that transition from his last few years being in New York. You could tell by their record, even though their team wasn't as good, just how far at the bottom of the Eastern Conference that they were, even though Melo was still getting his points.
Yeah, 11, 12, you've been doing it.
Yeah.
But now you come back from being injured. All right, you're coming back from being injured.
Okay, so
hold up. But is your mindset, because this is for players, was your mindset like, I gotta get to my spots because I gotta get to where I'm comfortable at.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta work on this. Not fuck what everything is, but I know.
Nah, Melo, say what it is. Fuck whatever you thinking. Just say what it is, Melo, because that's the way you treated it. Let's keep it a buck. But at the end of the day, the shots that they were comfortable with was taking those long mid-range twos, just stepping inside of the arc. See, when you have other teams looking for guys who can make three-point shots at a certain percentage, and they're taking a lot more three-point shots, those guys that are stepping into the arc and taking those long mid-range twos, shooting about 40% from the field, that's when we started to see a lot of those blowouts in the mid-2010s. The exact time frame that they're talking about, 2016, 17, 18, 19. You can go back and do your Google searches online, and you can see the number of blowout games, even at halftime. That's how bad this situation got, especially for teams that didn't make this adjustment fast enough.
I know they want corner threes, and I know they want this, but in order for me to feel good personally,
even though it's a team game, Melo, it's all about you. For you to feel good personally, it's a team game, Melo. Come on.
This is my bread and butter.
This is my bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how it is when you're in the game. You got to get to your spot. You got to get to where you.
That's
come
why I
from,
asked
right?
that.
See, the year prior, before I tore my Achilles, I had George Karl. He was the same way.
Yeah.
I just didn't give a fuck. I was gonna do what I was gonna do. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, at least Rudy Gay's keeping it a buck. Melo got to do the same. Melo accidentally just a second ago said how you really feel, but fuck it.
I got to work on this. Not fuck what everything is, but I know.
I like the energy from Rudy. He's saying exactly what it is.
So like I'm gonna get to me, but going to a different situation, coming off injury, and then having to fit into a different kind of system and culture.
That was a tough part.
That was a tough part.
That was a tough part.
That was a tough part. I couldn't be like, that fuck it button you push in the game, that's what gets you by sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I ain't hitting. You might be
I'm getting to my spot.
Yeah, you might be 2 for 15. Like, fuck it. Now you have a good game. You know what I'm saying? Or you hit that game winning shot. That's that fuck it button. But when you're dealing with outside things, you can't always do that. So that was the biggest thing for me. So like, yeah, for certain players, like you said, like it's who you draft. That necessarily wasn't me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but they didn't draft you. So
I know. I went there. That's why I said self-reflection.
Absolutely.
So
in their mind, they like,
we can make him do it.
He's older. He's more inclined to doing what we want him to do.
Right.
I think Melo's speaking that from personal experience. That's how they treated him in OKC. Remember, they wanted him to come off the bench. Paul George was having that kind of MVP year. Russell Westbrook was coming off the MVP. Melo was a lot older. So this was a situation that was playing out at OKC. It played out also in Houston. Ironically, this situation did not play out like that in Portland, but it also played out the same way for Carmelo when he went to LA.
Right.
Without us even forcing it on him, right? It's just Rudy, that we don't want those. We want, and because you've been in the game and you're a vet, you're supposed to automatically.
That's what they're bringing you in for.
Yeah.
If you're not a high draft pick,
I'm just going to go. I ain't shoot a corner three in 5 years. I stand still corner three. But you want me to go do that? I'm going to try to do that.
Okay.
Now, if it's uncomfortable, don't force me to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Melo, again, it's about the leverage. Did you have enough leverage to tell them, hey, don't force me to do it? CP3 is the reason why you got to Houston. Remember, there were no other teams picking you up. The Thunder already basically tried to give you your walking papers. And as far as being in the league, you were pretty much in the outs.
And I think that's the disconnect in this situation. Like, at his point, they told him, that's not a good shot, right? In my situation, no.
For real?
Huh? It's a clip. It's a clip. Preseason, Houston.
I remember that.
This is when they first told me.
Okay.
Now that right there is very interesting. Melo said this is when Houston first told him, is when they were screaming out, no. That part, I believe him. Mike D'Antoni is really kind of, I don't want to say passive aggressive, but the way the Rockets kind of operated around that time, they were pleasing James Harden. They were also trying to please CP3, who just showed up. Carmelo Anthony has a big brand, big name, even though he's aging out and also not adapting fast enough to the new play style. I see them not necessarily coming in and being upfront with him.
That's crazy.
Wait. If we had that,
No,
can we
listen,
please?
It's funny now.
Can you break this down now?
I'm going to break it down to you.
Yeah, okay.
So I get to Houston.
Okay.
And it's not always about me. Sometimes I say random shit. I get to Houston. The talk is you the missing piece. Right?
Okay.
CP, James, Tuck, Capella. You is to that piece.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eric Gordon was there.
Mm-hmm.
Couple other piece. Now when we get there, we have like a little mini camp. We go to the Bahamas and have a mini camp.
Sounds good.
Right? But we serious in the mini camp in the Bahamas because we know I'm coming here to win. Like I'm coming here to win. Y'all just had an opportunity. This is why we here. So we locked in mini camp.
And remember, the Rockets at the time, they were also finishing season after season at the top of the Western Conference, making deep playoff runs. So Melo being factored into this equation, how the Rockets want to play, they have all the leverage. He can't really fight back on it. And plus, it's not like he has other teams knocking on the door trying to pick him up as a free agent.
In mini camp, shit is happening. Get to preseason now. I think we like in Alabama. We about to play Memphis in like Alabama. Some shit like that. In my mind, I'm like, it's preseason. It's first preseason game, man. I just want to let me find the rhythm. Like, let me get my legs up. Let me shoot a fade away. Let me turn around. You know what I mean?
Oh, you thought.
Oh, I thought. But because in minicamp, this is what was going on. And now it looks like, oh, this is good. Like, oh, shit, we getting this? Ah, okay. Now we working. We get to preseason.
That's crazy. They let Melo rock him. That's crazy. Yo, Houston let Melo do whatever in training camp, and then they started making an issue during the preseason. This is where the story begins to add up.
And I just feel so good about like coming into this season and like I'm ready to go play for a championship. Man, I get it, shot fake, 1-2 dribble, pull up, bang. I'm like, oh, okay, like now I'm ready to play. I'm ready to go this season. They like, no! It's a clip of me laughing, running back down the court, like, yo, my bad. And I caught myself.
I believe it was a preseason game in Brooklyn. For you fellas that want to go back and check out the video, it's out there.
I had to catch myself. And this is where like the ego comes into play. Because I'm like, you want me to take away everything that I built my career off of, my game. This is why people know me. This is why people would want me on a team to bring this right here. Especially with this team. This is what is missing. You missing a post-up guy. You missing somebody who can draw double teams. You missing somebody who can score 4 or 5 different levels. Along with James and CP and Capella. Like it was a hell of a situation.
Yeah.
Now Melo is right. He's right in everything he said, but the only thing he did not factor in is the efficiency clip that he's scoring at. Everything went down. Even him driving to the rim, his legs were no longer there. He was pump faking like a motherfucker. And even that didn't work. Also, the number one factor that was really killing him was he was missing wide open shots. Let's keep it a buck. He was missing open jumpers since he was in OKC.
So for me to come back and practice that week, and they put something on the board that says mid-range shots. They break it down. Or shots per game. Certain amount of threes, say 40, 50, 40 threes. Boom. If we have 90 possessions in the game, 40 to 50 threes.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Free throws.
That's insane.
Right? Fast breaks,
now.
right? All of this is like broken down, like what we
Yeah.
should score on fast breaks per game, what we should score on free throws per game. How we get into these mid range? 12 or less.
Out of 90?
Listen, just use 80. Just say 80. Say 70.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just use 90 because niggas is shooting 80 times. 90 times a day. But say 60 games. I mean 60 possessions.
This is the problem.
Hold on, let me finish. Hold on, Rudy.
Okay,
hold on.
hold
And
that
this is,
thought.
hold on, no, because this is the part that people don't understand.
Okay.
Right? When you, and they say mid-range shots, 2-pointers, 12 or less. So now I'm sitting there, okay, they break down the mid-range. Who gets to shoot mid-range? Okay, if it's 12 mid-range shots a game, James don't shoot twos.
Nah.
Right? CP and me is the only one who do mid-range on that team. Tuck don't, Eric Gordon don't, Capella shoot layup. Me and CP play the middle game. So is this 6-6? I'm thinking, all right, cool. You gonna say CP, you got 6. Melo, you got 6. Nah, we want CP shooting majority of the, because he's really effective and efficient. I say, duh. Duh, we want him to get to his right hand. Like, let's get him to his right hand over here. Like, get him to his bread and butter. But what's up with me? Melo, you know, we gonna throw you 1 or 2 down there.
Now, I'm not going to lie. At the time, that does make sense. Melo was not efficient at all at the mid-range. Once again, he was missing wide open mid-range and wide open threes while he was in OKC. And CP3 was way more efficient at the time. And also, this is the issue that NBA legends have with teams that are going by sort of like the Daryl Morey analytics, with just being so detailed on how many shots they're going to take from which specific areas. In their eyes, those type of teams become way too predictable in the playoffs. See, when you start talking about championship teams and NBA legends that have made multiple deep playoff runs, multiple final appearances, they all say the same thing about that Daryl Morey Rockets team. They were not going to win past a certain level. The way Melo just broke down their shot chart, it sounds great for the regular season. But come playoff time, we're talking about teams that have 6 to 7 players that are all locked in defensively. You can't just pre-plan where you're going to shoot from the floor. The same way they're organizing their shots is the same way other teams are going to figure out what they're doing. The shit doesn't work, and it never will on that level.
Throw me what?
Ooh.
And so, talking about ego now.
Yeah.
I had to really check my ego. I didn't argue it. I accepted it. They told me I was coming off the bench the day of the game.
Damn, I believe him. Fuck. I don't think Melo would have signed with the Rockets had he known that. And the craziest part really is that the Rockets probably wanted him to be the second or third guy coming off the bench. Because again, they really wanted him in a catch and shoot 3 role. And they had other guys coming off the bench that played better defense. And because Melo was on the downhill side of his career, some of them shot even better from 3 in that catch and shoot role. I'm not saying they were necessarily a better player or a better 3-point shooter. We just got to look at the dynamics here at play with Melo's decline and him not necessarily being a catch and shoot guy, whether it's from mid-range or from 3. So I can only imagine the clash that was about to happen when he found out they really wanted him to be the second or third guy coming out of the bench.
Behind PJ Tucker. And I'm like, you brought me here to play alongside PJ Tucker.
Right.
You got rid of Trevor Ariza, and here's the easy plug-in right here. So why am I coming playing behind PJ Tucker? You really feel that way about me. No shun to PJ, but I come here to play alongside these guys. I never had an idea of coming off the bench behind these guys.
No lie, around that time, I could see them giving Daniel House Jr. more minutes than Melo because he does exactly what they need him to do. And also, from game to game, Eric Gordon, I can see him getting more minutes than Melo. It's not necessarily about the skill set, it's more about the team fit and chemistry, and they were already clicking and doing their thing, finishing at the top of the conference every season before Melo got there and making deep playoff runs.
I come here to play alongside these guys. I never had an idea of coming off the bench behind these guys. And that, they didn't know how to react to that in Houston. They thought I was gonna flip the house up.
I was about to say,
I came in every single day, smiling, joking with the team, playing, working out before practice, after practice, because you ain't really do shit in practice. It's just, you just running in practice. Running drills, sprints, and run to the corner, shoot a bunch of, you know what I mean? It's like, it's build-ups in practice. So my workout became before and after. So think about the mental aspect of that. You brought me here to win a championship for what I bring to the table. And then you tell me, don't bring what you bring to the table. We want to win a championship with how we see you at the table.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Now, I can do what you want me to do. I'm not going to be as effective with that, though.
The workout
I
started
can't
to
shoot.
change.
I can't shoot, come out the gate and shoot. I can't shoot 10 to 13 threes a game.
Let alone catch and shoot. That's the issue for Melo. He's used to just taking a dribble, getting into triple threat, jab step. That's just the overall way he gets into rhythm. Low-key, Paul George is like that too. He doesn't necessarily want to shoot the open shot. He likes that triple threat, take a jab, pump fake, and then take the shot. Nobody passes up more open shots than Paul George. It's like he likes the player being a lot closer. That's just the way he feels out the game. It be like that sometimes.
Without me getting to my bread and butter.
Like you need that to warm up to even
what?
be able to shoot from deep. Yeah.
It's easy. That's how you work. That's how you warm up in the workout.
Yeah, straight
So
up.
you get into your bag it's progressive.
Can I get back to my thought though?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that was the mental aspect of that, of what you had to battle and deal with that as somebody who was in my position at that point in time.
See, this is the problem.
That's when the shit get fucked up.
If you can sit there and jot down how many people getting shots and where,
That's not
good.
fact.
And no knock on any coach or whatever. That's just, it's a bunch of different coaches that can do that. But the reason we got here is off the field. You know what I'm saying? And that's my problem with analytics. It's not the fact that, like, yo, you can go on analytics and fact check whatever, but to build a team off of that is crazy to me. Like, yo, you can't tell me, like, if I get hot, I'm gonna shoot.
It's not necessarily crazy to build a team off of that, but it's crazy to think you're gonna build a championship team off of that. I think that's where the missing link is. And another nuance is Mike D'Antoni, when he ran his system, it looked more like the Steve Nash Phoenix Suns, where guys were just utilizing every area on the court. It wasn't just necessarily three-point shooting. You can tell from the way the James Harden era ended in Houston, this was a Daryl Morey analytical-driven team. Almost every single player on that team, right before James Harden got traded and just the whole thing blew up, they had made a lot of comments to the media about the stagnation and just the loss of love that they have for the game due to the style of play. Austin Rivers, PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, etc., etc. Almost every single player had complained about the style and about Daryl Morey's approach to the game. It wasn't necessarily a Mike D'Antoni issue because he didn't even get fired. He sort of just exited the team. That whole style reached its peak and everyone, including the coach, was sick of it by the time the whole thing blew up.
Like, that's better for the team.
How do you,
you know what I mean?
how would you use analytics?
What lineups work good together?
Okay.
Well, lineups work good together.
Plus minuses and all that type of stuff.
That, but and like if this person, Mikal Bridges, if he plays this many minutes, how's his production? You know what I'm saying? Not about, what we should do and all that stuff, because at the end of the day, in playoffs, all that shit is out the window. It's whoever makes shots and whatever. I don't care if it's a 2 or a 3. It's who can, like, because we already know your plays.
Of course.
We know what you about to do. It's like what player you get the ball to, they supposed to be able to get the shots off and get the ball to the right person. That's what playoff basketball is about. That's why they're not scoring 130 points. They're scoring 90, 100, and maybe 110 in the playoffs if it's a blowout. You know what I'm saying? That's why all that shit gets cut down.
I have another addition. I want to add on to that. Because of that, when it comes to the actual analytics of the game, they're missing a feel for the game, right? It's missing a feel. The way you use analytics, is to his point, is load management. And I know it's a negative connotation around load management, but you use that for load management. You use that to say, yo, Mikal, yo, you're low, you know what I mean? You at your peak when it comes to your load management. Like, we got to start dumbing it down. We got to figure out how we going to bring your numbers back down. Those are analytics. Analytics on guys who, you talk about the middle of the draft, right? The middle of the pack guys, and not talent-wise, but just it's a lot more people in the middle of the pack than it is up top. So the middle of the pack, when it comes to that, that's when you use the analytics, because it's very similar around here.
Carmelo's 100% right. What happens when the top end of that spectrum, the players at the very tippy top, start to have their numbers go down? They're not as proficient. They're beginning to age out. A lot of those issues are exactly what played out for Melo at the end of his career. Also, the style of play with the league started to change. More spacing, more three-point shooting. Could Melo defend in that spacing? No. While at the same time, his open mid-range shots, even the shots that he likes to take, are not going down. So that's the conundrum that he pretty much had.
Who can shoot? I need a corner three-pointer from the right corner. Who is that guy within these analytics that I can go to that has the best percentage at shooting from the right corner? That's how you use the analytics. A lot of times you can't use analytics with guys who have 75, 80, 85% of control of the basketball. Right? When you shooting 20-something times, you can't use analytics.
No.
Because you can't garner what is effective and what's not effective unless you actually saw the game.
Yeah, it's taking the creativity.
Absolutely. So if I score 40 points in the game, and it looks 2 for or 6 for whatever, at the end of the day, you wasn't there to tell me how the flow of the game was happening. Was you double team? What was happening? Where you missed the shots from? What was the attention to details on you? What was the defensive strategy? Analytics can't take that, can't give you that. So it takes the emotional aspect out of it. The fact that you took these analytics from last year and saw what worked and what didn't work from a numbers standpoint, and you brought that into this year, which is why you were able to see the graph and say, but you have the whole summer to come up with ways of how we're actually going to do this.
Analytics in a way will always be reactionary too, based off of what the current era is doing. So if you have the next generation of players all coming in 7 feet, chucking up threes, getting 8 assists a game, playing like Jokic, the analytics are always going to be looking different, and they're always going to be behind. It's really based off of what the generation of kids are doing right now on the court.
What is our system?
I think about it the way baseball players think about it, right? Analytics is super beneficial for baseball players. You still need that old dude who could pick up the grass and taste it and be like,
so this is
we need a left-hander right there.
This then becomes the segue question. Do y'all think it'll swing back? Because if we look at Boston, currently the reigning champs, they play the numbers games when it comes to their threes.
Yes.
But the idea that every team looks very similar, true. The creativity is has been minimized in the game, true. Nobody wants to play in the mid-range, although I think about DeMar and Kawhi, like guys that are still managing to be very effective in doing.
That's the narrative right there. The top players in the league are still playing at the mid-range. Kevin Durant, SGA, Jokic, they're all mid-range. You see, with the floor being so spaced out, now the mid-range shot makes more sense than ever, especially for the guys that are proficient at it.
But do we think that the pendulum will swing back to pure basketball, if I may?
No, because the analytics is just going to keep getting better and smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter. So whereas though the front office is not going to have to do any work anymore. It's going to tell.
But y'all just said that's surface to a degree. Honestly, Melo, for all that analytics they tried to put on y'all, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Right? It doesn't work. So to that point, it's not going to swing back because of just analytics. And the more smarter it gets, the more people is going to get smarter to utilize it.
Okay.
Right. So it's still going to get the connectivity, the connection. The human connection is going to continue to be further and further away when it comes to the game and the feel of basketball.
It sounds
now,
terrible.
what that does is it does come back on the flip side. It does come back. That's why in the playoffs, the game is what? Slowed down.
Okay.
Yep. The playoffs is really where those analytics go out the door because it doesn't factor in the mental side of the game, the pressure, the big moments. A guy may be a great analytical player during the regular season, but under a lot of pressure in the playoffs, just those high pressurized moments, he could fold, i.e. James Harden. And another player off the top of my head I can give is, I believe his name was Harris, that 3-point shooter that was in the Brooklyn Nets that had won that competition, I think maybe 2 years in a row, or he just won it once or whatever, but he had a bad playoffs and he pretty much disappeared off the face of the earth after that. And that's something that doesn't get talked about too much. Sometimes guys have bad moments in the playoffs and it affects the rest of their career. That's how pressurized those moments could really be. So there's nothing from the analytical department that could ever quantify that shit.
Happens in the playoffs. Take the best shot that they give you. It ain't so much emphasis on shooting 40, 53s. Like, if that's what you do, that's what you do. But at the end of the day, you got to have somebody in there to get to those spots that nobody could get to. And it's not a lot of people who can actually navigate in those little small spots, which is why Shea is so effective today.
Ooh, yeah, here's a good one. Yeah,
Shea is very effective. He's taking the shot that they giving him. He's not overthinking this shit. If they back up, go under the three, I'm pulling. If they send me left, I'm going left. They send me right, I'm going right. They give me a layup, I'm going. They give me a floater, I'm taking. They give me a pull up, and that's a basketball player.
Yeah.
Facts. But also with SGA, we got to factor in, he's a two-way player. The defense he played in the finals, his decision making on what shots not to take and to get his teammates more involved in the game. That's really the big difference. And for guys like Melo and Rudy Gay, who are not known to be defenders, and they're just pretty much average shooters, even from the mid-range, the way the game evolved in the mid-2010s to what it is now, it really hurts guys like that.
You can't take away somebody like the essence of basketball. Take the best shot that's given. If it's a three, it's a three. Now, I understand on the flip side, to Boston's point, a three is a three. If now we a great shooting three-point team, then we want to get the most. We want to shoot a lot.
Yeah,
of
but that's.
And going to Boston, they can play like that because they have players that defend and do everything else. During the championship run, they have multiple players who were making great decisions, not only attacking closeouts with their passing ability, their shooting ability, or just their on-court awareness of what play to make. That was a rarity, and that was also what made that team so great. Even the guys off the bench could do the same. Sam Hauser, Pritchard, Lou Cornett, Al Horford. Those guys were killing it with the passing, the shooting, just the overall decision-making was A1.
Now, we a great shooting three-point team, then we want to get the most. We want to shoot a lot.
Yeah,
of
but that's them. So you coming into your meeting with your organization and saying,
yeah,
all right, analytics team, show me what you got.
Yes.
What are you going to do with that paper? This is effective or this is not effective?
I'm going to observe it. I'm going to analyze it and see what I want out of there to be effective. What I want to utilize that's effective out of there that's going to enhance my situation.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like analytics should not be a conversation unless you are a team that's competing. Because other than that, we are building your basketball culture as a pro.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because the Wizards, you need to rip up them analytics.
The Wizards, we ain't bringing up.
Yo, Monica McNutt brings up a great point right there. Yeah, the shitty teams in the league, they should not be using that. But in a way, analytics is one of the many tools in the overall arsenal you should be using. But it shouldn't be the main and only tool.
Listen, I ain't bringing analytics in. That is all I test. I gotta trust who I put in those seats to put this team together to say, look, we have to go build the best team that we could possibly build with our salary cap, with our assets and what we can do. This is all eye test and feel. This ain't no analytics shit, right? Analytics got you where you at right now.
Bingo.
Honestly, this is real eye test and putting real basketball heads in there and putting real people in there who understands the game. Monumental Sports will have their business and they that's what they do. They got there for a reason. But now the basketball guys got to come in and really figure this shit out.
You gotta play ball, yo.
You gotta play ball. Man, you gotta pay to play in a sense, not just money, but you gotta pay to play. You know what I mean?
So it is what it is. This was a great discussion. Two players in Carmelo Anthony and Rudy Gay who were influenced not only from Michael Jordan, but from a lot of the players from the early 2000s. Guys like T-Mac, Vince Carter, Steve Francis, Stephon Marbury, Paul Pierce, etc., etc. And a lot of those influences really stem from what Michael Jordan was doing at the wing position in the 90s. Is that unfortunate from the NBA, a lot of the players that followed were not as efficient, and the game being so physical at the time, it didn't equal out to a great television product for the fans. But hey, the game will always continue to evolve because it only takes one crop, one good draft class to completely change the play style from decade to decade. So 3-time NBA champion and perhaps the most dirtiest player to ever play the league, Bruce Bowen, has sat down with Bomani Jones, and they discussed a very interesting topic of the dynamics of NBA stars staying too long in the league, taking up a lot of marketing space over younger guys, and basically being a placeholder in the league without having any impact. Players like LeBron James as well as Kevin Durant, their legacies are already cemented. They have plenty of money in the bank, but yet they still linger around with no impact. And in the past few seasons, both players have experienced either a sweep in the playoffs or a gentleman's sweep. But the NBA and their media partners are still adjusting to this brand new landscape with players lasting so long due to modern medicine and the upgrades that most NBA franchises have made to their medical staffs. Bruce Bowen gave an interesting perspective as far as the differences from the older players trying to stay in the league versus players today. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
There was a time where guys hung around the NBA, maybe for financial reasons, bad investment. This is kind of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar kind of thing, or the send off, with Julius Erving. Nowadays, I think you have too many guys hanging around because they love what it does for them. It is not about the finances. It is not about anything other than wanting to be in that limelight. And I guess it's their high to be still involved in basketball. When you hit 40 in the NBA or you hit 37, if you got a lot of minutes, you shouldn't have a lot of minutes. If you are being...
Makes you wonder, what the hell is LeBron James on? That he's been playing over 35 minutes a game, and he's still doing it today. Even in his 19th season, he averaged 37 minutes a game. His legacy is already cemented, and he's past Kareem. He's experienced multiple sweeps and gentleman's sweeps from Jokic in the playoffs. He just lost to Anthony Edwards 4-2 while having a generational prodigy like Luka Doncic in his prime on his team. So his motivation is definitely different.
If you got a lot of minutes, you shouldn't have a lot of minutes. If you are being that mentor a la Vince Carter, who bounced around all over the place, but he was mentoring on that bench. He was that other coach for that team to help, pass that message on of what's necessary in the game of basketball. So I think there's a lot of guys hanging around too much right now, and it takes away from others developing and being a better opportunity for them. But you're older, you're talking about wear and tear on the body, and you see them breaking down at the most inopportune times. That only happens because you shouldn't be playing a sport like that at that age with all the miles that you might have on your body.
I'm ready for the next generation to have their place. I don't think that guys are supposed to be at the top of mind for this long, right? And so it's incredible that LeBron has done it, and I can't blame him for not stopping because he can still play. I'm not saying he should quit because I'm ready for something new, but I am saying in terms of how we consume the product or the natural rhythm of a league, it's odd that the guys that are still at top of mind are Steph Curry after 16 years in the NBA, LeBron after 21 years in the NBA, or 22 years in the NBA, I'm sorry. James Harden, 16 years in the NBA. And we could go on with guys that are in the same neighborhood. And so it is a big change that guys are staying this long. And I think the point that you hit that kind of explains something that I had not properly expressed was that guys didn't always play until literally they could not play anymore, right? Now with Durant, it's interesting though, because he doesn't play a lot of games. He's still really good when he plays. And it's hard to imagine there's ever going to be a world where he can't get shots up. But at some point, being Kevin Durant in year 19, whether it be year 19 or near year 20, at some point, the payoff is going to change.
Facts. And also, him joining the Houston Rockets, that is not a guarantee for success. Not in today's terms. KD is not necessarily as dominant as he once was. Physically at a point, because he's not necessarily a gym rat, game is going to get to him. Right now, he's just making up for it with his talent, his height, his ability to make shots. But this Houston Rockets chapter of his career It wouldn't shock me if they won a championship, but at the same time, it wouldn't shock me if they got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs.
And to add to that, I just want everyone to understand this. You're not saying that he cannot do it. You're not saying he's not talented enough to do it. But I go into this, the wear and tear on the bodies, like, I don't know off the top of my head, but Kevin's average minutes per game for his career has got to be in the high 30s.
You can only imagine LeBron's. LeBron's is even worse. But in recent years, when these guys have gotten to the playoffs, that's when you really see a good glimpse that these guys are approaching 40.
And we're already talking about someone who's had an Achilles issue. And the frame of Kevin is not one of bulk. That's the thing that's impressive about LeBron. It allows him to, it allows LeBron to move over to another position.
In which he still doesn't. He still plays out in the perimeter, which leads to a lot of confusion. That's what really happened in the last Olympics with Jason Tatum just being on the bench. Joel Embiid should have never been there to begin with. It was political. He had to start because he chose Team USA over France. And LeBron James was listed as a power forward. But if you look at how they played, LeBron James was the point guard. So he's really occupying another perimeter position while at the same time crowding up the spaces for AD as well as Tatum to get more minutes in the Olympics.
He's not on the wing anymore. He's guarding the 4s and the 5s now. So because of his physical being, he could do that. Kevin he is not that big guy. Now, you might get him a good 1-2 years maybe, but if you're building, who's going to replace that? Those are the things that come to my mind when you talk about what he's doing. We're not talking about his skill set, but what happens after 2 years when you have vested a lot into him, and now what do you do in year 3?
That's a great point about the Houston Rockets right there. It's not like KD's going to take a pay cut either, so they are going to invest a lot of money into him, but how stable is it? Again, it wouldn't shock any of us if they won the championship or if they get eliminated in the first round or even a play-in. But who knows? Maybe the next generation of players won't be as durable as the generation of Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Stephen Curry. Because right now, even starting at a youth level, these guys are being professionalized at a younger and younger age that by the time they get into the NBA, they end up like LaMelo Ball, where they're consistently injured. So longevity might not be something that's on their side. So Jeff Teague finds himself caught up and going viral because he brought up the topic of LeBron James and PEDs. And in this NBA media landscape, bringing that up is almost as if you're talking about a UFO or Bigfoot or some sort of wild conspiracy theory. But in this segment, we're going to get deep into why the media seems to avoid this topic and how deep their ties run as far as being invested into LeBron in the future. Also, when it comes to Mr. LeBron James and his short stint in South Beach, around that time in 2011, there was a biogenesis report that came out that linked a lot of well-known baseball players as well as other athletes and a lot of affiliations around LeBron James. We can't forget, at that time, the NBA players did have a season where all of a sudden everybody was vegan, and LeBron James appeared much thinner after an off-season. And after a few struggles early on within that campaign, him and D-Wade disappeared for about 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, LeBron James came back looking all buff and nobody said anything. Again, the media has treated this whole LeBron James and PEDs as if you're talking about Bigfoot or some UFOs or some other wild conspiracy theories. But going back to that biogenesis report, one of LeBron James' longtime business partners, Ernest Mims, was on that report. And if you see a photo of him, not only he doesn't look like an athlete, he doesn't even look like a guy who works out at all. He has a pot belly, and for the most part, he looks like a typical average everyday person. But there was also another name on that report that's also linked to LeBron James, David Alexander, who was at the time LeBron James and his wife's personal trainer when he was down there in South Beach. Again, in 2011, the feds had a sting. They called it Operation Strikeout. And there was a lot of notable names that got caught up in this investigation, including well-known baseball player Alex Rodriguez of the New York Yankees at the time. Chris Paul also, during that decade of the 2010s, became head of the Players Union, and at that time, the league as well as the Players Union actually tampered down the standards of PED testing. Just adding a little more nuance right there, because that is something that doesn't get talked about too much. Even Derrick Rose at the time was asked by a person at ESPN the magazine of how bad was the PED issue in the NBA. And in 2011, he gave his answer on a scale of 1 to 10, 7 being his rating, and all of a sudden he had to retract that back. So this topic around PEDs, especially with LeBron James's name being tossed out there, should not really be treated with kid gloves as if it's some sort of Bigfoot conspiracy theory. There's a lot of moving legs within this story. But again, we're going to break this down layer by layer, as well as why the media is so apprehensive into covering it. There is a reason. But first, let's check out what Jeff Teague had to say when he was asked which version of LeBron was the best during his career.
Which Bron was better?
Miami Heat Bron.
Miami Heat Bron.
Miami Heat.
I'm going this Cavs Bron because this
Man.
Cavs Bron had a 3.
Man, y'all
Heat Bron was
crazy.
That
Miami
might be the
Heat
best
Bron
Bron we ever
was,
seen. I ain't gonna lie.
he was on steroids, bro. He had to sit out. He was on steroids for real.
Now, I give you
Like legit was on steroids, bro. I'm allegedly, but like he had to sit out. But y'all remember when they told him like they
There
gonna
goes the
start?
Clutch Sports allegations.
Y'all remember that though?
Nah.
But they was like he got everybody. They started testing for HGH, and they was like, yo, and he had to sit out. Like he said his back was hurt, and he sat out for like 3 weeks, and he came back skinny. This is just I was in the league. I remember. And he came back in. He was crazy though,
Now,
bro.
that might have been the best Bron, bro.
Now, I could have swore this happened the other way around. A lot of players at the time, they came in that offseason a lot thinner. Everybody was claiming they were vegan. And all of a sudden, when the Heat started to struggle, LeBron James disappeared for a few weeks. And all of a sudden, he came back brolic and nothing was said. But one of you fellas could leave a comment below and correct me if I'm wrong on that. But just going back to Jeff Teague, him making statements like this, there's a lot of tentacles within the media that are connected to LeBron James, who could have possibly applied pressure on him behind the scenes because eventually he would backtrack on those statements. Touching on this topic is almost as if you're talking about Bigfoot or UFOs. And the reason why the media acts like this, because they are actually invested in LeBron James in the future as well as the present. So his image definitely has to be clean. And what I mean by that, the media has investment dollars into LeBron James is no looking further than just Bleacher Report themselves. Bleacher Report is owned by Warner Brothers, who also owns TNT Sports. And Bleacher Report right now, especially with TNT losing the NBA, is the main driver of TNT Sports. They've even hired guys like D Rose and Dwight Howard to actually cross-promote the other live events that they're broadcasting, from racing to tennis. And they are a driver in the sports media ecosystem because they have a strong foothold on the online presence as far as their social media, the engagements, the likes, the shares. They get a lot of viewers and they use that avenue in order to drive TV revenue. And it wouldn't shock me if they found a way to monetize that ecosystem. But going back to Bleacher Report being the driving factor for TNT Sports, who is also owned by Warner Brothers, which is the same company that had invested over $20 million into LeBron James's media company, Uninterrupted. When you see LeBron James do shows like The Shop with Mav Carter, Mind the Game, all the cameras and behind the scenes stuff to make these things look good on screen, that whole infrastructure was provided by Warner Brothers. At the end of the day, there's a very strong symbiotic relationship between LeBron James and a huge media partner of the NBA. And it's going to get even bigger because LeBron James with Mav Carter, they have other projects. They formed another additional company underneath Uninterrupted, which is the Spring Hill Company. One of the more successful projects underneath that umbrella is the Mind the Game show. But also in 2025, they kept expanding and they merged with another UK production company called Furwell 73. And you're probably wondering, how the hell did they merge all the way with a production company in the UK? This should really come by no surprise because a lot of the funding for Hollywood movies, even the blockbuster hits you see every summer, is funded by a lot of international money, especially coming from London. So it seems like some of those same financial backers have found a way to tie themselves to LeBron James and get a piece of the action. So taking a step back, you're starting to see why there's a lot of tentacles in the media suppressing this story. A lot of that institutional money that's coming out of the UK funds a lot of media companies here in the States, they have huge stakes on major television networks and media conglomerates out here. And when you see an entity like Bleacher Report make a list of the best 100 NBA players and they put LeBron James number 2 on that list, even though some players that are listed underneath his name played either the same amount of years or even less, guys like Magic Johnson and Kareem, and even Larry Bird to a degree, who played way less years, but virtually almost has the same accolades. Again, we're seeing the incentives of making sure that LeBron James's name and his profile stays up there, because make no mistake about it, when he retires, we are going to continue to hear his name being cycled through the media. And within that media ecosystem, we're seeing pressure being applied to Jeff Teague, who has his own successful production with Club 520. He definitely was probably pressured behind the scenes to backtrack on his statements. But right here, you could hear the awkwardness of him and his friends retracting their statements, especially when they have a show where for the most part, they keep it a buck.
Hey, you know my boy stretched out when he went to the black forces with the black lasers.
Yeah, I ain't swap him out, bro. It's been a long day. Thanks to Jeff Teague.
Why me?
And it started yesterday.
Why me, bro?
When he posted, first of all, he never posts on his page. So for him to go out of his way to make an actual post, that's
you
not
post
from
me with
Club
no mustache, bro.
I didn't do that, bro. I just accepted the collab.
No,
that was Mike.
No, bro. Shout out to the game.
To my right, my dog, Young Nacho, Young Teague. How you what?
Whoop, I had to wear Jordans today because Kobe hate me and LeBron, so I guess I go with the mics.
Yeah, on the way in, you know what I'm saying? Some black trucks outside. So I'm happy we can still podcast.
Man, listen, bro.
We was only on Clutch Sports for 2 weeks, man.
They kicked me off the Clutch, bro. Listen, bro, it was a joke, bro. Like, what did they miss, bro?
Hey, now, before we even get to that, who do we have on the show who was from Clutch? And they were just like, yeah, I had to double check to see if he was actually on the roster. Was that Alicia Gray?
Yeah, Alicia Gray. Yeah. Like, they like,
he's not, Alicia.
No, I'm not. I'm not on Clutch Sports. And definitely after this, I will never get another Clutch opportunity. Because y'all take everything out of context. We were literally giving LeBron praise of how dominant he was.
Yeah, y'all wasn't really watching the show, and I mean that's why shit get clipped up though. Like,
and
go ahead.
We was saying he was so dominant.
This your post, King.
Nah, right. I'm just saying we were saying he was so dominant that like, bro, you 280 running that fast, bro. I'm like, bro, he was on steroids, bro.
Yeah, and that was a real story.
And also keep in mind his throat, the way his Adam's apple was bulging out. Usually guys on that stuff, that's one of the symptoms. Even to this day, his Adam's apple doesn't stick out like that ever since he left Miami.
Storyline, though. I mean,
but I was joking because if I knew that people like, how did you know he was on steroids? I didn't know. I don't know. I don't care. Because if he was and I knew, I would have told that nigga give me some. Yeah. I would have
tapped in.
I would have been 6'3", 285 too, nigga, running like a Mack truck. Like,
if you had a recipe, there would be no Club 520
no,
right now.
I wish I had the recipe. Like, matter of fact, if you got some, bro, tap in.
Send the remix.
I'm ready to make a comeback. Shit, me, John Wall, send it all of us. Shit, we trying to get back.
You too old, you gonna fall apart.
Fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
like,
listen, the steroid league is on the way.
Man,
try to qualify.
Listen, bro,
That's
I couldn't believe. Well, only reason I even knew about is because my dad, he was like, you trying to get us killed? I was like, what are you talking about?
Yo, even his pops, even his father knows how serious this shit could get. He's like, hey, there's a lot of people backing LeBron James, a lot of powerful people, including the NBA. He's still the figurehead.
I think I did something crazy.
I woke up, my phone was bro. I really thought something happened.
I did too. When my dad said it, you trying to get us killed? And I was like, what are you talking about?
Now, we all know when something crazy happens, like unfortunately the death of Kobe Bryant, everybody's phone was going crazy with the alerts, etc. And we all know how when something tragic like that happens, how our phone gets blown up, there's text messages, there's a lot of social media alerts. And for his phone to be going off like that without a global disaster or just a major event happening, that shows you the magnitude and the power that LeBron James holds within the media. Again, we went over the tentacles. He has Warner Brothers backing him. He merged with a production company out in the UK where a lot of that international London money funds a lot of the media conglomerates out here in the States. They have huge stakes in almost every major media outlet, even including funding some of these Hollywood blockbuster movies. Another tentacle is Nike, being one of the largest multinational corporations in the world. And finally, the obvious one, of course, he has the NBA. He's the face of the whole thing.
Nothing, because it was all social media shit. I'm like,
Hey,
damn.
like, you said something about Bron? I was like, what? I literally didn't know. I'm like, what did I say about Bron? He like, something about steroids?
Yeah, that wasn't even like the
I
topic
was
of the
like,
show for
what?
real either.
The fact that Coach Teague hit you about this is hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, I just made a joke that he good. Like, he was so good and so strong, much faster than everybody. I was like, that nigga had to be on steroids. And he was like, well, people think you know that he's on steroids. I'm like, man, I don't know that, man. Like, I've never seen that man do nothing. I was like, I just said that he went out for 2 weeks and he came back a superhuman.
And that right there is something that everyone seems to conveniently forget about. What healthy player disappears for weeks like that after coming into the season very skinny? Everyone's talking about being a vegan, and all of a sudden all that weight loss is affecting what's going on in the court, his finishing ability, and then he just disappears for 2 weeks completely healthy during an NBA season. And his team has expectations to get to the championship. He just disappears and then comes back looking like normal LeBron, all strong, and nobody says shit. Not a peep from the media. Amazing.
I hate it got taken up that way, but I understand too, because like the shit that you tell about the NBA, it always followed by videos and shit like that.
Yeah,
so you
but-
gotta look at that side of it too.
Yeah, but I don't know Bron.
The funny
I mean,
part
I
about this,
understood, but
they just killed us for saying we glazed Bron too much.
Yeah.
Oh, facts.
Now we hate LeBron.
Nah, I hate Bron. Yeah, they told me you a Bron hater. Y'all just told me I was.
They said we talking about Bron
I
too
love
much.
Bron.
We signed a clutch. We sold our soul.
I still love Bron. Bron's still the greatest, one of the greatest players ever to me. But I was joking. We were literally talking, but it's okay. I don't give a fuck.
Hey man,
It's here now.
We never gonna get our LeBron soldier deal.
Yeah, I was just about to get some new Brons too and hoop in them, but
now you're Under Armour soldier.
come on, fuck it. I'm wearing Steph's now.
What Dom?
Damn. Yo, Under Armour and Steph completely fell off the fucking map. Now they're pretty much the butt end of a joke of just not having fresh shit on. And at the time when that deal first had happened, Under Armour was on the come up. It's amazing how sometimes things just switch up like that. But yeah, ain't nobody really feeling those Stephen Curry shoes. Those shits look like the generic sneakers that they have in 2K when you're trying to build a character, when you're going through generic 1 through 40. That's how all the Under Armour designs feel like.
I'm saying, don't wear them in the club.
I just couldn't believe. I'm really shocked that made like a thing. Like,
Because ESPN, bro.
Because nobody else is working.
I'm like, bro, y'all serious, bro?
When I see,
That's
it's
true.
It's always a wave of people. You start seeing 1 or 2 publications follow, like, oh yeah, this is about to be the flavor of the day.
Yeah, that was kind of lame though. That wasn't even a real. That wasn't even no gist to that. I was just saying stuff that everybody said, like, oh, you remember he was out and he came back and he came.
Facts. Everybody saw that shit. Why is the media so quiet about that? Who disappears for 2 weeks and plays for Pat Riley? Jimmy Butler could even fucking pull that off. But LeBron just disappeared and then all of a sudden came back looking like his usual self, all strong. No more veganism. Come on, man.
Came back a superhuman. Then he was in Miami. He was on the list. You know, I don't give a fuck.
He woke a lot of people up.
If he was on steroids, I don't care. You still got to make the shots.
Yeah, we definitely shots, bro.
You still got to hit the baseball. You still got to make the shots. You still got to make the tackles.
It's so funny, bro. The random shit be happening. People like, y'all just be saying something to go viral. I swear to God. If we was cooking up something for that, it would have not been.
Yeah, it would not been the viral. Like,
I'll
I
be
didn't
putting
even.
me on a lot of this shit.
Listen, there's a lot of bullshit that we can put a narrative
like,
on.
if I wanted to go viral, I'll tell y'all the real stories about the locker room.
The
Like when
Dante
old buddy
Jones.
whipped dude ass. I'll tell that story. Yeah. If I wanted to go viral, but I don't want to go viral. Cause that mug go up.
So it is what it is. Every time this topic of LeBron James and PEDs get brought up, it gets treated like a huge conspiracy theory, like the Epstein files or some shit. But keep in mind, the names that were tied to LeBron James on that biogenesis report, his business partner, Ernest Mims, who's overweight and doesn't even look like he goes to the gym at all. And also David Alexander, the personal trainer for LeBron James and his wife while he was in Miami. I'm always saying LeBron James's greatest GOAT status should come from his off-the-court endeavors, the way he has a tentacle hold in the media and he's aligned himself perfectly, as well as his business ventures outside of the league. He's definitely carried the blueprint of past NBA players and took it to a whole nother level. You guys be sure to check out the playlist in the link in the description below. We got more NBA stories just like this. Also some game film, which includes a little mix of the storytelling within it. And until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.